Hi everyone. It's been a while since I've done a vlog, but haven't had a lot of time. Pretty much in 2005 or 2025. I'm already blanking out on what year it is. Yeah, 2025. It's been a crazy year. Had our second kid now, and other than, of course, being a parent of two kids, and the year being just extremely busy with just that. I've also been tackling the future games list pretty hard. And I kind of wanted to cover some things before doing a bunch of other things down the line in the future. One of those is the thing that I've been pretty much tackling for over 8 years, at least when it came to starting back up streaming again, making videos again. And that is the future games list and the retirement of the future games list. What does that mean? What is the future game list? The future game list was pretty much a list of games that I mean to do full playthroughs of from beginning to end. Of games that either I have played in the past but I've never made a playthrough of, at least when it came to archiving from Twitch to YouTube or YouTube directly, and or pretty much the games that I've never played before, but I have either acquired over the years. And after 8 years, the list was still pretty sizable. I think if I was any other regular person, it would still be a pretty big backlog of games. And due to the future games list not also including my Steam library, due to the fact it took like 8 years just to whittle it down to barely able to scroll down the list of games, it's been an insane task. It's been let's just say it was monumentous. It is something that is never meant to pretty much ever finish. And now that I have two kids, I'm a parent, it is nearly impossible. So this was the year that pretty much made me contemplate on if I should ever actually have something like that in my life. And I decided about a week ago, last week, I'm going to pretty much retire something like that. Something that I've been working on for 8 years. Now, overall, I've been, streaming, recording content since around 2007. I started streaming in 2007 back during the JTV days, before you could ever make money. No one ever thought that this was ever going to be a career option or even a lifestyle of any case. It was mainly a hobby, and people only did as hobbies, at least up until I think YouTube content creators started getting paid. I don't really remember what year that was, but from 2007 all the way to probably mid or late 2009, I was streaming on Justin.tv, which eventually turned into Twitch TV. It was just like a slow little change of URL. Still has the same bones as Justin.tv, but went strictly to gaming related content, at least for a little bit, until they decided, hey, you know what? Let's bring back the IRL content, and then eventually mix other things like music creation, art, and all kinds of other things, even other hobbies. So, that was a thing. And for at least a 6-year stint of me pretty much not at least streaming for a while, it was a very weird time in my life. Now, probably around, give it about 3 years or so, 2 or 3 years from not streaming, on Justin.tv, started recording playthroughs on YouTube. Since at least during that time, around 2011 to maybe 2013, playthroughs on YouTube were probably the biggest commodity and the biggest thing, and it was pretty much almost no different from what I did on Justin.tv, except that you just pre-recorded your video, but you're with of course the exception of not having a live chat, not having the community interaction being like directly put to you. It's all comment related, so without the interaction of actual live chat and everything, it was something to kind of get used to. It was definitely different. So I did that for a few years until a big thing in my life happened and had to move, and currently living in the area that I lived ever since I did move during that time, and still pretty much had another hiatus. It was probably another good 2 to 3 year hiatus of making videos and doing anything on the internet. So almost in a way, I've had like an 8-year period from Justin.tv and now, where almost 8 years of inactivity of doing things and just like off and on stuff, and not including the year hiatus in between the whole move of Montana to here again, where I couldn't do anything. So there was even that stuff. So this, at least me as a content creator of video games and everything like that, it's been a very rocky road. It's been insanely impossible to build a community, make a schedule. You guys know me pretty well, the people that have actually been following this channel. It has been insanely hard to just do anything frequently and at a consistent pace, and it's not fun. It's been a very hard road. It's been very hard, but the only thing that has been really keeping me doing this is the fact that I like streaming, I like making videos, and I've been mainly a playthrough archivist kind of guy. Like, I like to play games from beginning to end. I like to archive my whole entire journey of any kind of game that I've been enjoying, and that's what I've been doing since. And that's why the future games, the game list, has been such a big, in a way, a commodity for the channel, because it keeps me focused. It keeps me reminded of all the other cool games to come in the future and everything like that too. But at the same time, I'm one of those people, I've been diagnosed with ADHD back when I was still in school and everything like that. And that's probably the main contributor of why I get almost a little too hyper-focused and everything like that when I set a goal and everything. And due to the fact I set a goal 8 years ago to eventually possibly finish the future games list, that was the first mistake. I never would have thought that I would have been working on these playthroughs 8 years later. And yeah, it's been stupid. It's been a little stupid. It's almost ridiculous how many games I've beaten and archived on the YouTube channel. And, strictly from streaming on Twitch and, both platforms now, since we stream on YouTube and Twitch. But, hundreds of games, many of peak plays, many of, a lot of things. Like, we do peak plays of games that have recently come out, and we just want to check it out to see if it's going to be a game that we want to play further into the future, maybe even do playthroughs of, or even a game that is potentially a recommendation for other people and everything like that. And on top of like IRL stuff like food reviews, these vlogs, and many of other things like, I don't know, even the bench tries. You can kind of sneak that in there too. But yeah, we've done a good amount of different things on the channel, but the biggest and prominent thing that has always been when it comes to Two Crazy Gamers has always been playthroughs. Full, unadulterated, unedited playthroughs. And I've always enjoyed it and everything like that, but I always felt like it was missing a little bit of variety, and just something feels missing. So me pretty much getting rid of the future games list has opened up pretty much a lot of free time on my hands when it comes to the channel, and it comes to just other things that I could do even outside of the channel. And now that I don't have pretty much that self-implemented obligation on myself, I'm going to pretty much, where does this leave off? How, what's up? What's next for the channel? And everything like that. Well, I think first things first, the playthroughs aren't going anywhere. I'm still currently working on a playthrough right now, which is the Doom the Dark Ages full playthrough, and really enjoying that right now. Well, without this list, I'm starting to play games that are currently top in my head and everything. Pretty much going to whatever game that sounds the most satisfying to play at that moment in time. And Doom the Dark Ages is that top game right now that has been on my mind, and I kind of wanted to play and everything like that. And the thing is, I wasn't going to play Doom the Dark Ages until I actually did a full playthrough of Doom Eternal. And the reason why is because of the future games list is that, well, I got to play the game that came out before that, right? That's usually how I've always thought. I've always kind of treated the playthroughs and all that as like, I have to play the previous games first or something like that. I have to do things in somewhat of at least a release order. And I decided, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to do the thing I want to do. The things that I really want to do. And that's, I think the first step was just getting rid of that list so that way I can make room and free time to do the things I want to do. And even though the thing I want to do now is no different than what I've been doing on the Twitch channel and archiving on YouTube and everything like that, I feel a lot better due to the fact that I only have like one thing prominently right now that I'm currently doing. I'm not recording any YouTube exclusive playthroughs right now. That is an obligation of knocking out another big goal, and it's kind of nice. It leaves me a lot more free time for family and other things like that. And it's kind of like a big old weight off my chest too. But it also leaves a very big hole on what to do next. It's almost like the channel itself was kind of retiring at the same time, but not really, if that makes any sense. It's very weird. Sorry about this blinding ass light behind us, but the sun is out nice and bright. I mean, I could probably do this, get a little bit of natural sunlight, even though it's insanely dark clouds. I love how there's dark clouds, at least in my direction of what I'm looking at, but bright as hell behind me. Getting back on topic though, what's next? Well, playthroughs are gonna still go on. That's still probably gonna be the biggest thing that I do, at least until I die, at least on the channel. But I'm trying to come up with things that I would like to do that's not just playthroughs. I want to do one-off videos, even if it's like 10 minutes all the way up to maybe a 10-hour video. The length of the video doesn't matter to me as long as it's something I want to do, something that has been different than the things I've done. And one of the things that I tried to do about year and a half ago was Cruel Endeavors. The whole concept of Cruel Endeavors was to, at least at first, was to do a full playthrough of playing a game in a somewhat hardcore way, even doing a game as a hardcore playthrough where if you die, the playthrough's over, one and done. Or the other concept of Cruel Endeavors was to play the game either on the hardest difficulty, don't have to worry about hardcore mode, just play it and play it until you either beat it or it just kind of breaks you and you're kind of done with it, or play it with a weird kind of handicap. A good example is playing Tears of the Kingdom with only sticks and naked and you can't touch the ground type of scenarios and all that too. But I think ever since I've had kids and life is already challenging enough as is, the Cruel Endeavor series has not been as, in a way, appetizing of a pursuit anymore of what I would like to do on the channel. So now I'm kind of thinking of what do I want to do instead of Cruel Endeavors. I'll kind of keep Cruel Endeavors kind of in the background of like, maybe once I'm in the mood one of these days to kind of do a Cruel Endeavors video, I will. But I can't be doing full playthroughs of something like that because, one, I'm playing a game either on an ultra harder setting than I'm used to, or I'm playing in the most ridiculous fashion that puts me in so much suffering that, yeah, I would probably only want to do it for one day and then I'm done. Because it's like having a kid that's like just over 2 years old and having another one that's not even a year old yet. It already puts you through a lot of those like feelings that I don't need to replicate it. So hey, I love my kids. Let's be honest though, I don't need to do that on the channel. So even though people like to see people suffering when it comes to video games, at least playing video games, I've come to the conclusion that, yeah, if I ever do Cruel Endeavor stuff, it's, of course, all of them are going to be one-off videos. They're not going to be series or anything like that. But I got to be in a very special mood to do Cruel Endeavors, because that is a series that is going to be insanely gnarly. It's going to be insanely hard for me to overall enjoy for myself. So you may or may not see those in the future, but we'll see. But yeah, I would love to do more multiplayer stuff with either the community members of the channel. So any of you guys that are currently listening or still listening to this vlog, yeah, due to the fact that the future games list is one and done now, I have ample free time to just either play a multiplayer game for just one day or make it into a whole entire thing where I would just kind of play off stream and don't have to record and all that stuff too. As long as I'm not taking care of the family, then I have plenty of time to game with other people, either community members, other streamers, other YouTubers. Doesn't matter. I am now an open book when it comes to scheduling, as long as it's not during family time. I think the hardest time to ever catch me, and sadly, it's probably the only time people have the freedom to, play games that have normal jobs and everything like that. I'm not available between the hours of 5 till let's see, between the hours of 5 and 9 o'clock. So 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., no matter what day, I am just not available during that time. And it's mainly because Claire and, the kids come up here, they take their, they get cleaned up, they get ready for the night. We're trying to put them to bed and all that. So, after, of course, dinner and everything. So that's another reason why the 5 to 9 is kind of an off limits to contacting me. It's because dinner and putting the kids to bed. It's a longer process than you might think. So there's that. But I would like to do more multiplayer stuff, just goofy shit. We don't have to play and beat a game from beginning to end, which a lot of people associate me with now. It's like all he does is just goes from one game to the next. It's insane. He doesn't stick to one fucking game. And that was the whole thing. That was the whole process when it comes to what I wanted to do on the stream was, treat every game that I played with at least some kind of respect by, if I'm going to pick this game up and I actually really enjoy it, I'm not just going to play it for a day or two and not finish the playthrough, because at least as me, as a viewer of other people's either streams or YouTube channels, nothing frustrates me more than seeing a game, or at least a playthrough that I've been really enjoying from someone, and to never be addressed that they will not be continuing that playthrough. So it really does suck. At least when they don't at least tell you. So like a year later, where you kind of forgot about, almost forgot about them recording it and everything like that, they eventually somehow mention it. It's like, yeah, I've had so many of these playthroughs, they'll name drop the game that you've been kind of waiting on for them to finish. And it's like, why didn't you say so? I'm waiting a year for this playthrough to finish. And that's why I have things like Vince Tries and all that, because if I ever do actually pick up a game and just don't feel like finishing it, or it just doesn't jive with me during the time I played it, or things like that, it's also a nice little note to anyone that was enjoying that game, or a fan of the game or a fan of that playthrough, that sadly it will not continue all the way to the end. So that's hence Vince tries to potentially beat that game, but never really got around to it. So there's that. It's been a wild ride though. So many games, and it's probably going to take me a little while to really get certain things going. I'm just gonna have to kind of get used to not having a future games list anymore. An actual goal. If I can get myself to physically and mentally be prepared to not have an infinite goal anymore, then maybe my creative juices and all that can start rolling again. Because, art-wise and all that, I'm good. I'm probably good for because I was writing down all of the art projects that I want to do for the next 2 years. I have enough art ideas in my head, written down on paper right now, of things I want to draw, yeah, for the next 2 years. That is it. And I'm currently working on all that kind of stuff. And also, now that I have the free time, I can even work on more of that stuff. So even though I don't stream my art, on Twitch or YouTube and all that stuff, you guys can always find my art on either DeviantArt or Pixiv. It's always there. And eventually I'll probably even post some of those on either Designed by Human or even Displate. If any of you guys are heavy purchasers of Displate metal posters and all that, we have our own little shop there as well. But this video is not meant to promote any of that stuff. But on the topic of creative juices, I got to really figure out like what type of like one-off videos I would love to start doing one of these days. Either videos that don't, highly demand editing or editing at all, or even videos where I start teaching myself how to edit on a regular basis, at least 2-3 times a week if I can. So that way I can get pretty decent at editing videos and getting used to that, due to the fact I recently downloaded DaVinci Resolve. I think it was about time for me to really get in gear and learn a new skill correctly this time. Like, I've edited videos before in the past and everything like that, but I wanted to do it with something that pretty much competes with like Adobe Premiere and all that. I think DaVinci is one of those other softwares that, for the most part, you can enjoy. I think people said like 90% of that software for free. But if you want some of the good juicy stuff from that, which I probably will never need from DaVinci, is it's probably the perfect video editing software for me. Apparently it's a good like photo editing software too, which I'm pretty good with Lightroom. All I need is Lightroom, since I don't heavily edit photography anyway, so that's always a thing too. But yeah, I think that's the only thing I wanted to address during this vlog. I'm sorry it went almost 30 minutes or so, but just wanted to kind of get something off my chest, and I didn't want to kind of continuously bring it up in the beginning of a chat or something, a stream. Because usually when I open up my streams, this is technically how an opening of my stream usually is me just talking out into the void, and if someone's listening, then they're listening, and that's cool. And stuff like that. But yeah, I've been insanely tired in a mental and just energy wise base too. You could probably tell just the way I talk and the way it's almost hard for me to stay on track. It's the lack of energy, but also there's a lot of things going on in my head, especially when it comes to the future of the channel. Now that I'm slowing things down even more, it might sometimes feel like, where did Vince go and all that stuff too, even though he streams at least 2 times a week. Where did Vince go? Where did he go? All that other stuff. And the thing is, I'm not going anywhere. That's the thing. Even if I've told Laura this too, is like, I will never stop either streaming or recording content, even if it takes me 1 video a year. I will always be here. I will always be here. You're never getting rid of me, internet. So that's where I stand. Is that's probably the biggest goal for me, is to never really leave platforms like Twitch or YouTube. I don't see YouTube ever really going anywhere, at least for the long run of things, unless there is like an actual good alternative to YouTube, which there isn't. There is no good alternative to YouTube at all. And to be honest, there's no real good alternative to Twitch. I've seen a lot of them come and go, and Twitch has always kind of outlived all the other live streaming platforms. I guess if Twitch ever did die, I guess I will always stream on YouTube, but in a higher, higher resolution and probably even higher frame rate, because I think they can go all the way to like 120 frames per second or something like that. So I can always do that. There's always that. But yeah, I mean, doing this, at least streaming on Twitch in a way, doing that for 8 years, and my channel constantly staying as a smaller channel. There's 1 year where we were getting to the point to where we could have made partner if it wasn't for the year-long hiatus. There was a potential chance that the Twitch channel would have gotten partnership, and we also would have maintained the viewership that we were maintaining during that time. But yeah, that's kind of the story of my life when it comes to the internet and making content, is that whenever something is about to break out and we start seeing success and everything, outside factors tend to play a very big role in at least dampening those expectations in some form or fashion. In a way, I think if I was like any other person, I would probably be the most bitter person in the world, because I was one of the forefront people when it came to streaming, and I've also pretty much have streamed the longest out of anyone on the internet, unless there are some current OG, JTV people out there that have been streaming in the early days of at least 2007, maybe late 2006. But yeah, 2007 was pretty much the pinnacle of what sparked my love and interest. You guys want to know what kind of got me into wanting to stream? And it's weird too, because the stuff that I do now is the thing that didn't inspire me, it's funny. It's weird. I never actually did the thing that actually inspired me to stream. Back during, either a thing, the other streaming service that was a part of, kind of like competing with Justin.tv, Ustream. They were both on Ustream and Justin.tv, which was weird because I was like, whoa, you could stream on multiple platforms back then, around 2007 of all things, which is insane. And yeah, that channel was called All Games Radio. And it was during the time when Scott Rubin, the pretty much co-creator, one of the, at least one, he was considered like executive / big head of the person that made G4 back in the day before Attack of the Show and all that. I think during the times where Tech TV still exists, then G4, and then G4 merged with Tech TV and things like that. Pretty much kind of almost like a buyout in a way. And they kind of mixed and mashed all their stuff like Screensavers, which Screensavers turned into Attack TV. It kind of reminds me of Attack of the TV, or yeah, Attack of the TV. But it kind of reminds me of like that merger is in a way how Justin TV turned into Twitch, even though Twitch was a subsidiary and then eventually just became the big thing. So there was that, which was funny because I think the URL in between Justin.tv and Twitch.tv was before Twitch TV even became a thing, it was justin.tv/Twitch/ then the username to go to someone's channel if they were playing video games. So I remember that very distinctly. That was how the URL was. And it like threw me off. It's like, what the fuck is Twitch? And, you know, that was way before I ever thought about getting back into streaming and all that. But I just wanted to see what Justin.tv kind of turned into back then. It wasn't the thing I recognized. And so in some weird form or fashion, I never decided to start until, 8 years ago. Now, did I join at the right time? Probably not. Was I ever going to get big as a streamer doing variety content, playing games in multiple genres, multiple, everything? No, not, you won't become a big variety streamer on Twitch or YouTube unless you're already big to begin with. So there's that too. So the way my channel is structured and the amount of games and the type of games that I play is pretty much a formula to never succeed, at least for it being a career. And I understand that. Absolutely, 100%. That's why I always said, even back in 2007, this is my number one hobby. This is, other than, of course, is playing video games as a whole. Next to that is streaming and creating content, mainly archiving the games that I like to play. And, pretty much sharing that enjoyment and that passion for playing video games with other people. I guess the biggest influence out of all of that is, back in the 90s and all back, or even early 2000s when I used to play games with my friends on the couch, couch co-op or couch competitive, or even playing the single player game and passing the controller, to your friend and all that to beat a game in one night, in one sitting or something like that. Those were the golden days. And Twitch, in a way, kind of replicates that with at least a chat, even though it's not the same at all. It at least replicates that, and that's why I kind of like the feel of it. That's why I like streaming, is that, in a sense, your friends are coming over to your house, and you get to enjoy either playing a game together or watching, or your friends watching you play the game that you enjoy, and you get to share that passion of said game that you're playing and the excitement of potentially beating that game at some point in time, and just enjoying the journey as a overall. Because most people, I guarantee you, most people don't see the ending of my actual playthroughs, especially on YouTube. YouTube, you either watch the beginning of a playthrough and probably just a little stint of the beginning, like either beginning almost to middle, depending on how long the game is. And if you're one of those people, you skip all the way to the last video of said playthrough. And that's probably what happens. Even though you missed a giant chunk of context of what the hell happened from beginning to end. People are like that. It's a thing. But yeah, it's a lot to kind of digest, though, of what I want to do next. A lot of people would say it's like, yeah, you kind of wasted well over 8 years, but technically it would have been wasting from now all the way since back in 2007 of my time and my potential just other things I could have done with my life. But to be honest, I'm probably going to be the only person that could say that I've streamed, not overall years the longest, but overall I am the person that was pretty much there from the beginning, and at least will be there until I'm dead. So I at least for now and forever, once I'm dead, I could be the person that could say, I have streamed the longest out of any human being ever. And I would love to keep that as a title. Longest living streamer. I could actually put that in my title right now because technically it is fucking true. Because I even outdate, what is that one guy? I even outdate, no. Starts with an S, I think. I forgot his name, though. It's another bald fellow like me. I think he sometimes rocks a beard and all that. God damn. If some of my other JTV people were here, they would probably know. But I predate that one dude. Which he still streams. So it would probably be an argument between me and that one other bald guy that is currently, streaming. And yeah, us old time streamers eventually need to get back together and talk about, how things have been at one point or another. I would love to see all the JTV people at least come back together for one day and just, I don't know, do like a one episode either podcast or hangout. They're just talking about shit and doesn't even have to have like a goal. Just talk. It would be nice. Someone can even be recording and no one needs to know about it too. Just for the sake of organic communication would be the thing. Even if they know after listening to this video that, if I'm in a Discord chat with Vince here, it's potential of being recorded. I was like, but do you know when I started recording? That's the gist of it. It is not them knowing when you actually started recording the damn thing. But yeah, for the most part, that's all I wanted to talk about. I'm just kind of in the brainstorm period of the channel now. I'll keep the playthroughs pumping, coming along and all that too. I don't really quite have a game planned or anything after I beat Doom: The Dark Ages, but I think, however, we'll have a game chosen for the next stream after we beat Doom, The Dark Ages, to where we can kind of go into it in a more, kind of natural pacing and everything. At least when it comes to the streams, it doesn't feel like anything's kind of changed, except that maybe there's a stream or two where I'm not doing a playthrough and I'm just playing a game like Monster Hunter or some of those other games that I can always kind of go back to, even like Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Those kind of games where they're games that are constantly being updated, either being patched or there's content being added to certain games. Now that I have free time to do that, I can always go back to those games, which is fantastic. So hopefully, maybe if I start streaming more of those multiplayer kind of focused games, I'll see some more people kind of either roll into the community wanting to play more multiplayer games. But I should end this video before the family gets back home, because chaos starts to happen when they enter that room, enter the door. So I will see you guys in the next video, and as always, enjoy yourself.